Hello, everyone. Hi, introverted Black girl. Hi, Michelle Brown. Happy to see you. We made it. It's Friday. I have a shirt that I want to show you. It's an Octavia Butler shirt. So I'm very happy. I got it from the good people at Faya. I bought it from there. So, yes. It says, "So be it, see to it." So we're going to wait for everybody to get in. And then we are going to start. Hi, Emma-Ray. Thank you. Hi, Sarah. Please say hello and show yourself once you find your way into the chat. So I'm just smelling some peppermint oil. Do you use essential oils? What's your favorite? Okay, so for those who are live now, and also for those who are going to be watching this later, welcome. My name is Njeri, and I'm from Onyx Pages. I am one of the 3 people who are hosting the Octavia E. Butler Slow Read. This is a very exciting day. It is November 20th, and that means that in 9 days, we will be having our live show. And we have definitely learned a lot from the first live show, and I'll speak for myself. I'm very excited about the upcoming live show. So hi, Colton. Hi, Priscilla. Hi, Ruyan. Hi, Gina. So I'm super excited about the live show. I hope that all of you will be able to make it. We conducted a survey after the first live show and learned a lot from the responses. So thank you to those of you who responded to the survey. It was very helpful. So right now we are at the point of reading book 2 of Wildseed. So what I'm going to ask you to do is in the chat, if you could just indicate what page you're on or what percentage you're on of your reading. I am not as far as I would have liked to. I'm just looking at my book because it's like way over there. I'll go grab it in a second. I'm not as far as I would like to be in my reading. So I actually might be reading longer than usual today. So yeah, and there'll probably be longer sprints than usual today, so that for my own purposes, but hopefully for yours, so that we can all catch up. Hi, Bernie. Okay, so let's see some page numbers or percentage points, how close you are to finishing or how far you've gotten into book 2. And also, I'm going to be doing something pretty special. Page 176, 148, that's great. I should put these up on, I'm also going to be doing something pretty special on today's show. I am going to be introducing you to my collection of Octavia E. Butler related nonfiction books. I will probably film another like a standalone video on these books, but I thought since we're here, I would share that. So chapter 8, 45%, awesome. 55%, 64%, perfect. So before we get into the first sprint, I will share the first book. So this book is called Luminescent Threads, Connections to Octavia E. Butler. And this was edited by Alexandra Pierce and Mimi Mondal. It was published first in Australia in 2017 by 12th Planet Press. And I will read the synopsis on the back. Luminescent Threads celebrates Octavia E. Butler, a pioneer of the science fiction genre, who paved the way for future African American writers and other writers of color. Original essays and letters, sourced and curated for this collection, explore Butler's depiction of power relationships, her complex treatment of race and identity, and her impact on feminism and women in science fiction. Follow the luminescent threads that connect Octavia E. Butler and her body of work to the many readers and writers who have found inspiration in her words and the complex universes she created. So that's the back. You can see the luminescent threads and filaments on the cover. And in terms of the table of contents, we've got some really amazing people who have contributed to this collection. I'll name a few that I recognize. Alea Dawn Johnson, who wrote The Summer Prince. Cherie Renee Thomas, who was the editor of the Dark Matter collections, the first collections of Afrofuturist writing. Dr. Karen Lord, who wrote Redemption in Indigo, Galaxy Game, The Unraveling. Nisi Shawl, who wrote Everfair, Filter House, and has curated many short story collections. There's also, who else that I recognize? Rebecca J. Holden, who has studied Octavia Butler and who co-edited Strange Matings with Nisi Shawl, which I'll talk about today. Andrea Hairston, who wrote Redwood and Wildfire, Mindscape, and Lonely Stardust, really excellent work. Jewel Gomez, Black queer woman who wrote the Black queer vampire story, The Gilda Stories, which I think is a really powerful book to read in conversation with fledgling. And who else that I recognize? And then some newer writers like Kathleen Kayembe, who I believe won one of the Octavia E. Butler scholarships, and Nnedi Okorafor, who we all know from the Binti trilogy, Kabu Kabu, and many, Akata Witch, and many others. Alex Jennings, who's my buddy, who is just awesome. He wrote one of the short stories in New Sons and has a book coming out. Steve Barnes, horror writer, partner of Tananarive Due. And yes, so a lot of really great writers here who have contributed to the work. So that is Luminescent Threads. And in between each of the sprints, I will introduce another nonfiction work. And the reason I'm doing this is because I'm hoping to read different excerpts from these nonfiction works about Octavia Butler as the slow read goes on. And I want to encourage people to read nonfiction works about her as well. And also because it's Nonfiction November, and some of the books that I'll be talking about actually have chapters or articles that are specifically related to Wildseed. So if you own any of them or you want to take them out of the library, I will point you to the ones that I have, and you can definitely check those out. All right, so for the first, we're actually going to do a first sprint. And this one is going to be, let's do a long one. So the first sprint is actually going to be about, how much time do you want? How much time do you want? maybe 20. Why don't we try 20 minutes? And then we'll work our way up. Okay, so we'll do a 20-minute sprint now. I'll just get myself sorted. Okay, and then...
This is the story of a cult favorite.
Share the screen. Oh, you guys want 30 minutes? Okay, I'll do a 30-minute sprint. Let me just find it. Nice and long for the first one. I'll just start it right from the beginning. All right, everyone, happy reading, 30 minutes. Hey everyone. Okay, so I am on page 180. Yeah, where are you guys? And let's do what we did last time, which was just one word to describe the character that you are most curious about right now and what page you're on. So you're reading The Golden Compass. Cool. I haven't read it, but I watched the movie. I saw that his Dark Materials is going to be on HBO now. So I guess that'll be something to watch over the holidays. 62%. So Sarah, is there a character you're most curious about? I right now am actually most curious about Anyanwu. I find myself wondering when she's going to leave Doro and what that's going to look like. Like, what is her master plan? That's the thing that I am literally most curious about right now. Regina Renee, you're at page 242 and you're befuddled. I'm actually going to write down 242. I'm going to write down that Regina was befuddled. Regina Renee was befuddled on this page. And then when I get there, I'll remember. And okay. Hey there, Cabe. Trust, over halfway through chapter 9. Trust. Yeah. I like the way Anyanwu builds trust. Never wanted to hurt a fictional character before, and here we are. Oh, Dora does it to us every time. Anyanwu puzzling. Kind of feel like a lot of people are playing the long game, you know? And I sometimes wonder if Anyanwu's game is longer than Doro's. Your word is Obanje. Coincidentally, you're also reading for Freshwater by Akoyeke Emezi, and they both deal with this entity. Yes. Akoyeke Emezi's Freshwater is an exquisite read. I read it the beginning of last year, and it was wonderful. They are such an amazing writer. Yeah. I definitely believe that Anyanwu is stronger than him. Okay, you're finishing chapter 9. Awesome. Yes, it is very, 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 very good. Page 160, and disgusted. Yep. That is such a perfect word. Yes, it is so good. Awesome. All right, so I'm thinking that another 30-minute sprint is a good idea. So we'll do another one. I'm going to go off screen for this sprint. And instead of using a timer, because that one had a lot of really distracting, very distracting ads, I'm just going to use my phone. Okay. So here we go. As soon as I find it. Oh, there it is. We're going to do another 30-minute sprint. So 30-minute sprint starting now. Happy reading, and I'll see you in 30 minutes. All the banners. Remove the banners. Okay. Hello. Where are we? Catherine, no need to be sorry. Yeah, it is hard to finish to stop reading and just reflect or do something else. So I definitely hear you. I am reading much slower than usual, but I am hoping to be finished with chapter 8 shortly. But I'll probably stay on quite a bit longer tonight to kind of get through further. Okay, so I am remiss because I promised that I was going to give you a description and a demonstration of a couple of Octavia E. Butler related nonfiction reads. Oh, chapter 10 is really short. Okay. Doro, man. Ugh. Okay. So here's another book that's part of my nonfiction Octavia E. Butler related collection. This one is called Strange Matings, and I mentioned it in the last, I guess, presentation. I don't know, before the last sprint. And this book was edited by Rebecca Holden and Nisi Shawl. And I'm just going to read the back, but I have obviously read this and enjoyed it. Strange Matings. And where does Strange Matings come from? What's the reference? What's the reference, class? Okay. Strange Matings seeks to continue Butler's uncomfortable insights about humanity and also to instigate new conversations about Butler and her work. Conversations that encourage academic voices to talk to the private voices, the poetic voices to answer the analytic. How did her work affect conceptions of what science fiction is and could be? How did her portrayals of African Americans challenge accepted assumptions and affect others writing in the field? In what ways did her commitment affect the emerging field of overtly feminist science fiction? How did it affect the perception of her work? In what ways did Butler inspire other writers and change the face of science fiction? How did she queer science fiction? In what ways did she inspire us and motivate us to take up difficult subjects and tasks? In other words, what is her legacy? And the contributors include Stephen Barnes, Doris Davenport, L. Timmel Duchamp, Tananarive Due, Sherry Evans, Thomas Foster, Lisbeth Gant Britton, Kendra Gill, Sandra Govan, Marilee Heifetz, Rebecca Holden, Susan Nabe, Nettie Okorafor, Wendy Gay Pearson, Benjamin Rosenbaum, Kate Schaefer, Stephen Shaviro, Nisi Shawl, J.T. Stewart, and Louisa Tisch. I enjoyed my read of this, and I did like the I just opened it to a page on which they're talking about Anyanu and Doro. I'll just read this little excerpt here since it refers to, I think this is the Pattern Master, I'll just read this part. Patricia Meltzer further complicates Green's supposition by showing how Butler negotiates constructionist and essentialist notions of gender identity through Anyanwu. By maintaining a stable gender identity while constantly changing bodies, Meltzer claims that Anyanwu and Doro destabilize both a constructivist claim that the discursive body determines one's identity, and as essentialist insistence on the physical experience of a naturally gendered body as fundamental to gender identity. At the same time, Meltzer argues that Butler's insistence on Anyanwu's female identity and Doro's male identity contradicts their symbolic function as gender transgressive. And it's hard to kind of just talk about that in the abstract, but I notice this idea that she maintained a stable gender identity while constantly changing bodies, and that destabilizes the relationship between the body and gender, but also destabilizes the notion of gender, period, is a very interesting one. And I wanted to talk about Octavia Butler and gender and Anyanwu and Doro because I think it's really interesting. And also I've wondered about that. I've wondered about even the pronouns that she uses. Like Anyanwu changed herself to be male and she then went on and did this and this and that. Or Doro took on a female body in which he did blah, blah, blah. So she maintains the pronouns, even though the bodies change. And I think when the first couple of times that I read Wildseed, I didn't appreciate the problematics of that or the significance of that. So I might actually go back and read that article because it talks about gender, and I really do want to, I want to explore that. I still feel as though the way that Octavia Butler approaches gender in Wildseed is to kind of just note that both Anyanwu and Doro can change bodies, but they don't necessarily change gender identities. They still remain who they are. So it's not like there's a transition or anything. Or that there's simply a shift in the physical aspect of the body. So I'm puzzled by that and still thinking about it, because at the same time, they're very specific roles for women and for men in the story. Like male characters do a certain thing and female characters do a certain thing, and there are no non-binary characters that I've seen so far. There are only shape-shifting cisgender individuals. I'm not even sure the appropriate term to describe them, but I think so, right? So anyway, that's my ongoing thinking that I'll talk about. We're at 8:28. Let's just see what people have said. Okay. Oof. Fair. Okay. Chapter 12. Look at y'all reading. Doro still Doro. Just finished chapter 10. Good. We're around the same spot. Sounds interesting. I guess that's Strange Matings. So the other one that I'm going to talk about, because I have a bunch here, this is a new one. This one is called Conversations with Octavia Butler, edited by Consuela A. Francis. And I'll read the back. I write about people who do extraordinary things. It just turned out that it was called science fiction. Octavia Butler spent the majority of her prolific career as the only major Black female author of science fiction. Winner of both the Nebula and Hugo Awards, as well as a MacArthur Genius Grant, the first for a science fiction writer, Butler created worlds that challenged notions of race, sex, gender, and humanity. Whether in the post-apocalyptic future of the Parables stories, in the human inability to assimilate change and difference in the Xenogenesis books, or in the destructive sense of superiority in the Patternist series, Butler held up a mirror reflecting what is beautiful, corrupt, worthwhile, and damning about the world we inhabit. In interviews ranging from 1980 until just before her sudden death in 2006, Conversations with Octavia Butler reveals a writer very much aware of herself as the rare bird of science fiction, even as she shows frustration with the constant question, how does it feel to be the only one? Whether discussing humanity's biological imperatives or the difference between science fiction and fantasy or the plight of the working poor in America, Butler emerges in these interviews as funny, intelligent, complicated, and intensely original. And the editor of this work is Consuela Francis, who is Associate Professor of English and Director of African American Studies at the College of Charleston. Her work has been published in the Langston Hughes Review. This was published by University Press of Mississippi, and the publication year is 2010. So that's Conversations with Octavia Butler. It's a new purchase for me, and I'm just trying to see if the only name that I recognize on this list is Charles Rowell, who has, I believe, written about Octavia Butler quite a bit. But all of the other individuals here are new to me. And what I will say is that some of the interviews are specific to certain books. So there's one on, there's a conversation between Octavia Butler and Samuel Delany, which I'm looking forward to. Essays on racism. Octavia Butler's Kindred turns 25, so there's an interview about Kindred. But a lot of them are just like called Interview with Octavia and then a date. So that is Conversations with Octavia Butler. Even though she said, do not forget the E. Okay, before we go into our next sprint, let's see what else we have in the chat. Oh, hi, Erica. Yeah, I mean, she also drives safely. And yeah, it's probably fair to say that that's right. Although, at the same, yeah, I don't know. It's a good thought. Thinking about pronouns, in Lilith's Brood, Butler uses genderless pronouns for the Uloi. I wonder why she hasn't applied genderless pronouns to Doro. That's a really great observation. And I think that there is a pattern of characters, like in science fiction. I think I've heard this oftentimes when there are characters that are genderless, or I'll just say genderless, or somehow non-binary in some way, that those characters are often, sometimes more often than not human, and the Uloi are obviously not human, and so I think that's problematic, because it reinforces the idea that it is not human to have a gender that doesn't align with the binary. And so while she was definitely capable of having characters that use different pronouns, in that particular example, the character that uses a different pronoun is not a human character. Whereas there are other examples of science fiction writing in which human characters are non-binary, and I think that is the right representation, and that's an important representation. So it's interesting that you say that. I want to think about that a little bit more. I can't think of any other example in any of her writing where she used gender neutral pronouns. And also Kindred was I'm not sure what the publication date was for the Xenogenesis series, but I mean, she clearly at that point was aware, and I'm sure she knew at the time that she could have made that choice. So yeah, interesting thought. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think that's right. I mean, no, not that what you're saying is not right, just the use of it is not right. And it's so pervasive. Yeah. And I mean, I'm at the beginning of my own journey, but I'm trying to do what I challenge other people to do when they're talking about race, is to not talk about it, to even though I am a cisgender woman, I need to try my tongue at talking about these issues better, even if I stumble and fumble and say the wrong thing, which I'm sure I'm doing today. So, but yeah, look out for those patterns, right? Like when you're reading science fiction, when you're reading fantasy, when you're reading stories that have characters that are not human, pay attention to which characters are identified as non-binary or as analogous to trans characters. And if you notice that the person that you're reading only seems to use gender neutral pronouns or different other like non-binary pronouns when they're not talking about human beings, that's a problem. Yeah. So. Yeah. So I'm hoping that in the live show, there'll be an appropriate way to discuss this, and a safe way to discuss this. And I'm still kind of thinking about what that might look like, because what I don't want is for the conversation to be a conversation that allows cis people to say really transphobic things or to create a toxic environment. So I am thinking about how to have that conversation. All right. So how much, yeah, for sure. Okay, so we have 16 people here. If you haven't yet said hi in the chat, please, you're absolutely welcome to. All right. So how much time do you want to sprint for? I'm probably good for another hour. That's me. I don't suggest we do a full hour sprint, but I do have 4 more books I want to tell you about. So if we did two more half-hour sprints, that would allow me to tell you about 4 more books. So how much more time would you like? And while you are contributing in the chat and telling me how much more time you would like for our next sprint, I want to remind those of you who are here who haven't registered for the November 29th live show, please do. We have some great numbers. We're all excited about it. But please make sure that you have registered on the Eventbrite. It's going to be a really fun time, and there may be a special guest. So that's exciting. I'll just say that we have been thinking about different ways to engage Octavia Butler's work, not only reading and talking about it, but other ways. Ooh. So there's that. Okay. 30 minutes. Alrighty. Sounds good. It's unanimous. So let's do it. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen. We're going to go to the Chrome tab. And we'll go right back to 30. Is it sharing? Okay. All right, everyone. 30 minutes. Oh, happy reading. Okay. What pages are you on? And if the page that you finished reading were a color, what color would it be? Okay. Bye, Emery. See you next time. Bye, Christina. I know you guys are gone, but maybe you'll watch this again. Good night, Catherine. I don't know why you're late, but I'm glad you're here. Page 205. I'm on page 200. That's okay. Glad you're here. Just in time. It's cool. Like, there's like a wave of people that had to go and a wave of people who are coming in. It's great. All right. So, as promised, I'm going to share 2 more nonfiction Octavia E. Butler related books. Okay. This one is Approaches to Teaching the Works of Octavia E. Butler, edited by Tarshia Stanley. That's the cover. And yes, please put in the page that you're on. And if the page you're on were a color, what would it be? So, Approaches to Teaching Octavia Butler was published in 2019 in New York by the Modern Language Association of America. I'll read the back. These essays not only demonstrate how to teach Butler, but also do a fine job of modeling how to teach literature in general. Octavia E. Butler's works of science fiction invite readers to consider the structures of power in society and to ask what it means to be human. Butler addresses social justice issues such as poverty, racism, and violence against women, and connects the history of slavery in the United States with speculation on a biologically altered future world. The first section of this volume, Materials, lists secondary sources and interviews with Butler and suggests texts that instructors might pair with her works. Essays in the second section, Approaches, situate Butler in science fiction, modernism, and Afrofuturism, and provide interdisciplinary approaches from political science, philosophy, art, and digital humanities. The contributors present strategies for teaching Butler in literature courses, as well as courses designed for adult learners, pre-service teachers, and students at historically Black colleges and universities. So this is pretty cool. And there's some really interesting essays in here. Again, I'm just going to look to see if there are any names I recognize. So far, no. Oh, so one is Dr. Sami Schalk. She's the professor who twerked with Lizzo on stage, teaching the social construction of disability through the Parable series. And I think that's the only person I recognize. And in terms of the articles on Wildseed specifically, there's one that I can see so far. It's called For Adults Only, a competency-based approach to teaching Butler's Wildseed. And that's it for Wildseed. Some of the other ones are teaching Afrofuturistic thought leadership in Butler's fiction, reading Whiteness and Kindred to teach transnational pedagogy, drawing the Oankali, imagining race, gender, and the post-human in Butler's Dawn, teaching Butler in a course on colonialism and science fiction. So yeah. So that's great. So that's approaches to teaching the works of Octavia E. Butler. I'll probably try and read the chapter on Wildseed before the live show. Okay. The color of your page is poop brown. Gotcha. Page 192, red. 206, purple. 71%, black or gray. You didn't read the last sprint because you were finishing homework, but that ending to chapter 9 was trash. And 269, blue-gray. Gotcha. Okay. And please let me know. We're going to do one more sprint after this. Please let me know how long you'd like to sprint for. And while you're putting up your sprint durations, I'm going to tell you about it's not the third last book. Okay, I'll tell you about another book, and then after this, I'll only have one left. So this one, is this one? Oh, this is not an Octavia Butler book. Okay, then I only have one left. Okay, I'll save it. I'll save this one for after our last sprint. So how much time do we want? I haven't seen anything come up yet, but while you're putting up your lengths of time, I'm on page 200 of this version, and I have only 6 pages before chapter 9 is over. And let me just take a look at the picture at the schedule, because I'm not sure, when does book 3 start? Chapter 10 is short. Oh my gosh, I'm almost done book 3. I will definitely finish book 3, finish book 2 today. We're almost done. Okay, hold on. So it looks like people are wanting 30 minutes again. Okay, you're liking the longer sprints? Okay. I have to say, stick till the end, because this last book, this last nonfiction Octavia E. Butler book is just really beautiful, and I can't wait. So I'm just trying to see what I said I was going to do. Oh, okay. So here's the schedule. Oh, we are supposed to finish book 2 tonight. So we're going to finish book 2 tonight. We are on track. Got my peppermint oil. We're going to, can you smell it? Here. Okay. 30 minutes. I'll just leave everybody with that. Okay. 30 minutes. We're at 16 people. It's great. If you're new here, say hi. Let's see who showed up. Okay. Last sprint, 30 minutes. Let's try to all finish book 2. Unless you already have, in which case you're awesome. Okay. All right. You think you know the last book, Regina, Renee? You probably do. All right. I'm going to share that screen again. And then Chrome tab. Okay. And then take that down. Happy reading. I'm getting faster at this. Look at this. Sharing the screen like a boss. All right. Happy reading, everyone. Last sprint. Okay, everyone, that's our last sprint. So, what page are you on? And I guess, how are you feeling about being in the last stretch of Wildseed? I finished book 2 and I am feeling happy, like relieved, but also really tense. I'm feeling tense about it. Let's get some comments up here. So what page are you on and how are you feeling about being in the last stretch? Tommy's dancing in the corner. I'm very curious about what will happen next. Very, very curious about that. I don't want to stop. I'm really into the world, so I want a different landscape. So that's going to happen. I'm really interested in the pattern of series now. Like, I want to know where the next story is going to take place. But yeah, just really, I'm in it to win it. All right. Almost done with chapter 8. You're at 51%. Okay. You have to see this. Tommy is like, she has her headphones on and she's literally dancing. It's very adorable. 74%. The further along, the better. Yeah. Yeah, relieved, but only slightly. 219, happy and anxious. You know, I hear that. I hear that. 210, almost done with book 2. Yay! We're pacing, Priscilla. You're worried? Yes. 100%. I think I'm going to be worried until and beyond the end of the book. 283, you read the reading schedule incorrectly, so you're looking forward to going back and rereading book 3. Okay. Okay, so you're done-ish? Did you think that today we were supposed to be finished book 3? Is that what happened? Conflicted. Can you say more about that, Priscilla? And while you're writing down, okay, so Regina Renee, what book did you think was going to be the last book that I was going to talk about? What book did you think I was going to talk about? I'm going to be talking about the last Octavia E. Butler inspired nonfiction book. So you thought you were finishing tonight. Okay. Okay, so what, I think Regina Renee, you said that you wanted to guess what the last nonfiction book would be. Do you want to put your guess in the chat? Yeah, we're definitely not finishing tonight. We still have 2 more days. So we have next Friday and next Saturday. Because what I wanted, like, I know for me, I really want to end very, very close to the live show so that I'm still kind of in the vibe of it. Okay, I guess you're not guessing, Regina Renee, so I'm just going to tell you what the last book is. It's very, very beautiful. Oh my God. Oh, okay, hold on. So it feels like Anyanwu went through a lot of loss just now because of her family and self before she could maybe, yeah, I hear you. Yeah, definitely. Regina Renee, you think the book is a handful of earth? You are wrong. Just kidding, you're right. Woo! You are correct. Isn't this beautiful? I don't think anyway, it's beautiful. I think it's beautiful. Okay. This one's called, isn't it gorgeous? It's called A Handful of Earth, A Handful of Sky. The World of Octavia E. Butler. Octavia E. Butler once wrote that science fiction was simply a handful of earth, a handful of sky, and everything around and between. This book offers the slice of the in-between. A Handful of Earth, A Handful of Sky, The World of Octavia E. Butler, offers a blueprint for a creative life from the perspective of award-winning science fiction writer and MacArthur genius Octavia E. Butler. It is a collection of ideas about how to look, listen, breathe, how to be in the world. Author Linnell George not only engages the world that shaped Octavia E. Butler, she also explores the very specific processes through which Butler shaped herself, her unique process of self-making. It's about creating a writer's life with what little you have. Hand-me-down books, repurposed diaries, journals, stealing time to write in the middle of the night, making a small check stretch bit by bit by bit. A Handful of Earth, A Handful of Sky draws the reader into Butler's world, creating a sense of unmatched intimacy with the deeply private writer. That sounds stunning. And look at this. So that is the end. We have been together for 3 hours, y'all, on a Friday. So just to recap, the books were Luminescent Threads, Strange Matings, Conversations with Octavia Butler, Approaches to Teaching the Works of Octavia Butler, and A Handful of Earth, A Handful of Sky. So if you have other nonfiction books about Octavia Butler, please put them in the comment area of the actual video when this uploads to YouTube. It'd be great to see other things. Yeah, it's a gorgeous cover. All right, everyone, I want to thank you so much. Thank you all for being a part of this slow read this evening. We did it. Great job, everybody, getting to wherever you got to. So in terms of the schedule, the next step is that we have, let me just go back to my calendar. Okay, so November 27th and November 28th are going to be our last 2 sessions. And during those 2 sessions, we are going to finish reading book 3 together. And book 3 is called Canaan, 1840. Okay, so we're gonna hop another 100 years. So that's good. So yeah, Canaan. All right, and let's see. You're welcome. This was really super nice. Let me just see if oops. Hold on one sec. I just want to show you only if I can. If I can't, I won't. Downloads. Okay, so this is I just wanted to get this up on the screen for people who are, oh, I don't know how to do this, I guess. Your entire screen? No, I don't know how to do it. I just wanted to get the picture in, but I can't get it. So it'll be there. All right. Have a good Friday. See you later. Read with purpose and enjoy the rest of your reading of Octavia Butler. Bye, everyone.